Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Lackey. I'm your TV POA Board President for 2026. Seeing that we have a quorum present, I'm calling the meeting to order, and I ask that you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank all y'all. I don't know who's running the screen. Do we have C&J on? There he is. Todd, I don't think we got audio yet.
Okay.
Do we now?
Check this. Can you hear me now?
I got you.
Great. Fantastic. Good to be with you. All right. Mike, you want me just to run with the discussion of the draft financials?
Yes, please.
Okay, great.
Ruh-roh.
I'm not sure what that was. I'm at a conference right now, so at times the internet has been spotty, so that may be some of that. So, but I appreciate the chance to be with you and discuss the draft financials. So that's my objective today. Before we start with our presentation, I wanted to say that Whitney Cabella Cartel is with me as well. She's joining the call, and Whitney's kind of the field general for the audit, so oversees a lot of the detail testing. And also want to express our thank yous to Judy, Jessica, and the accounting team at Teleco Village. There's a lot of work that goes into completing the audit and all the testing that we do and things like that. Also, thank you to the audit committee, chance to work with them, and we appreciate the opportunity to work through some of the disclosures and things like that. So my objective today is to go over the draft financials, and when you hear me talk today, I'm just going to pick a couple of highlights to go over with the draft financials. And I'm also going to talk about some things that happened after year end, which means in 2026. Just their disclosures for things that are going to be happening in 26. So there's just been a fair amount of activity. Okay. So if you have the draft financials in front of you, if you would like to turn to page 1, this is our auditor's report. So the very first paragraph there talks about our opinion. And what you have in front of you is a clean audit opinion, which states that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial statements in here, in the financials. Okay. So that's a good thing. That's your major objective. Next, if you want to turn to page 3, I'm going to highlight something that's new on the balance sheet for you. And we're going to talk about it just in a little detail. So on page 3, the balance sheet, you'll see a new line item. It's called a grant receivable. And there's a similar new line item in the consolidated statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in members' equity that is on page 4. This relates to a grant that we describe in footnote number 10 to the financial statements. So the association received a grant through Loudoun County, and it was funded through the American Rescue Plan that helped with some infrastructure projects. So that's something new. So the warrants recognizing the receivable. So we have a receivable just over $1 million there. The total grant award is going to be about $2 million. So they're in basically expenditures to date are 1.2. They collected some money already, but then the other amount is a receivable at this point in time. Okay. Next, I'd like to have you move to the footnotes to the financials. So if you'd like to go to page number 9, we'll talk about water and sewer services. And in October of 24, they started a new water and sewer infrastructure asset fee of basically $80 a month. And then in June of 25, the association suspended the monthly water and sewer infrastructure asset fee. So that's a disclosure that discusses that. And then I want to call your attention to something else. It's the last paragraph of that particular paragraph that starts off in October 2024. It states, subsequent to year end, this is at the June meeting, the board approved a plan to refund approximately 4.3 of water and sewer asset infrastructure fees that were previously collected. So they expect to issue those refunds in 2026. Okay. Now, next, I'd like to go to page 14 under a section called subsequent events. Okay, in May of 2026, the governor of the state of Minnesota, state of Tennessee signed a bill which would allow a nonprofit public property owners associations to operate as a utility district. So that applies to Telco Village. They could choose to operate the water and sewer as a utility district. The next paragraph talks about that management and the board of directors are currently evaluating the impact of that, and they're in the assessment. So that could have an effect on 2026 and forward operations. So we're calling that to the reader's attention. Okay. I'm sure you're well aware of that. It's been widely talked about. Next, I'd like to go to page 15. I'll give everybody a minute to get there. But here we want to talk about the reserves, and with designated cash and cash equivalents and designated investments. So we're really talking about the reserves. So in 2025, the Telco Village updated its reserve structure by basically transferring some reserves from the general reserve to water and sewer reserves. The association established a new funding, new methodology for funding water and sewer reserves, whereby the net results of the water and sewer operations are designated for water and sewer reserve tracking and planning purposes. Okay. Previously, the reserves were determined by the board of directors. And then in 2025, there's a new methodology that was adopted. So what happened at that point in time was they transferred $7.7 million from the general reserve to the water and sewer. So you see that reserve. What I'd like to also remind everybody is the accounting for these water and sewer balances, they're kept in a separate account at Morgan Stanley. So in total, at the end of 25 is $33.8 million. And at the end of 24 is 28.3. So the reclassification of the reserve balances between general and water and sewer is a representation of the new funding policy that was adopted by the current board versus the funding policy that was used under the previous boards. The financial statements in prior years are correct because they reflect what was the funding policy that was adopted by that board. So all the financials from the prior year are correct. What you see in the current year is a change in funding policy, and then you see the transfer of reserves that are there. Okay, so we want to make sure that that's well understood and that's appropriate understanding. Okay. Next, if we go to page 26, you'll see basically there's two tables there that roll forward the reserve balances. But in the paragraph after that, we'll talk about after year end. This is one of the things that we're talking about, subsequent events and things that are happening in 26. At the June 26th board meeting, the board approved a plan to transfer additional funds into the from the general into the water and sewer reserves. They expect to transfer approximately $5.6 million during 2026, and this amount represents accumulated utility tank installation surpluses generated from 2021 through 2025. So what we're saying here is in 26, there'll be some additional funds transferred between general over to the water and sewer reserves. Okay. Okay, those are the major highlights that I wanted to call your attention to in the draft financials. And Mike, I'll turn it back over to you if you have any questions or anything like that. But we appreciate the audit committee's attention and ability to dialogue and talk about the drafts as well.
Thank you. Pretty impressive year when you start looking at the P&Ls, and that's kind of where I always start my days. I like to look at that, see if we're making money. All in all, last year's revenues, we exceeded our expectations. Judy, is that a fair statement? Total revenue for the corporation was almost 49 million bucks. So when we start looking at that by comparison, in 2019, we did a little over 20 million bucks. So we've grown exponentially, quite well. We've managed it. And I thank this board and our villagers for making that happen. At this time, the board will entertain a motion to accept the audited financials as submitted.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the C&J 2025 audit.
I'll second that.
On the question?
Yeah, questions. Has the audit committee voted to approve this draft?
Yes.
Okay. And Judy, you're fine with this draft?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody's okay with it as moving forward. Okay.
Thanks for the question.
Okay.
At that time, I'll call for the vote. Do we have Carla? Do we know if Carla's online? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move forward so we can get on with business. I'll call it, the chair calls for the vote. All in favor of accepting? Let the vote show 6-0 and Carla pending.
Thank you, Todd and Whitney.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your hard work.
Thanks,
And
Todd.
due
Thank you.
diligence.
Thanks, Whitney.
We'll roll off the call now. So thank you.
That's fine. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care.
Well, we got that put behind us. We're on schedule. That's a good thing. Right now I'd like to ask, there he is. I see him, Richard Yarborough from C2RL Engineering to come up and explain what we're doing to go forward. Joel, you got this?
Yeah, that's for later, Karen. We'll take.
No? Go ahead, Richard.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank y'all for asking us to come. One of the first things that Mike and the board wanted me to do is tell you a little bit about C2RL, because if you looked, you probably didn't find a lot. We do not have an internet presence. That's not how we do our business. My partner and I, Chris Sorrow, started the business in January 2001. So we've been around for a while, 26 years. We base our business on providing good service to good clients, and they call us back. Imagine that. That is how we do business. We don't make too many cold calls, but once we get excuse me, but once we get a client, we generally keep them. Our client list includes Denso, Clayton Homes, Blount County Industrial Development Board, Airport Authority, Knox County Airport Authority. We do just about all the work on the land side of the Airport Authority. The Tennessee Air National Guard Base, we do all their work and have for 20 years. And that's not just in Knoxville, that's in Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis. We're a small company, but we have big clients. We've just finished designing TAS's new $25 million water treatment plant. Okay. That's a project that David Quillen, who's with me today, and I have been working on for about the last year and a half, and got out to bid, and it bid within 10% of budget that was established 3 years ago, which is pretty damn good.
How many bidders did you have?
6. Good contractors like to work with us. Bad contractors don't. We've got a very good reputation in the industry. If you have any questions from a utility standpoint, which is what I do, we work with Knoxville Utilities Board, Clinton Utilities Board, Newport Utilities Board, TAS, obviously, City of Maryville, City of Alcoa, have done a lot of work for KUB, although not doing anything right now. But we were the only small local consultant that they let touch their wastewater and water treatment plants for years. Now they mostly use big national firms, and that's their choice, obviously. But at any rate, we've been around a while. As you can tell, I'm no spring chicken. And the board knows this, and I don't mind y'all knowing it either. At the end of the year, I'm pretty much walking out the door. Okay, I'll be 70 next year, and it's time. I'm going to finish up the TAS project and some other things we've got going. If we get your projects underway, we'll finish those projects before I fully retire. So, I've made that commitment as far as the Kahidi station and working with you some in the future to make sure, you're moving in the right direction. But David will be around a little bit longer than I am, but not a whole lot longer. He's no spring chicken either. But at any rate, that's a little bit about C2RL and what we are, what we do, how we do our business. Like I say, you will not find an internet presence, but if you call our clients, I think you would get a favorable report from all of them. So a little about us. Moving on, we were hired by the board to come in and look at the Kahidi, specifically the Kahidi pump station, and the problems that are being experienced out there, both from a flow standpoint and from an odor standpoint. Okay, we know the odor complaints are significant, and apparently that's not uncommon at your pump stations in the village. And a lot of that, just to give you my opinion, is caused by the type system that was put in here. It was not a true pressure sewer system. It was a step pumping system, which basically means you're pumping septic tank effluent. And septic tank effluent is nasty stuff. It's some of the nastiest stuff you can send to a wastewater plant. Most wastewater plants would prefer not to get any of it. And it's not just because odor, it's because it's hard to treat and it's corrosive. It'll eat up, it eats concrete, it'll eat up anything but plastic. I've seen headworks practically disappear because of it. So, it's bad stuff. And I think, and my report says that's part of your problem. Okay, those old, in effect, septic tanks that are in the system that are allowing your sewage to go septic while it's sitting in your tank before it even gets into the system. That is a large source of your odors, in my opinion. Additionally, those tanks leak a lot. They're plastic and FRP. They are not very well sealed. And when it rains, your flows follow the rainfall just like this. I could put a graph up there if you wanted to see it. But, your flows to your pump station exactly match your rainfall. You can see the rainfall come, flows go up immediately, rainfall stops, it goes down. So, that tells me there's only really in a pressure sewer system like what you have, it's not coming into the pressure lines out in the street. The only places it can get in is at that tank or, from the homeowner's connection. And your maintenance, your wastewater and water guys say, you don't have any roof leaders connected. All the lines from the houses appear to be tight. So really the only source of that water is somehow it's getting into those tanks when it rains. So as part of our report, we're actually recommending that you start a program to replace those. You don't have to do them all at once. You can do it over time. But it's our recommendation that all those large 750 and 1,000 gallon tanks be replaced with the smaller, more compact units that are now being installed, which are also sealed. They're watertight. They're a sealed unit. You have a connection going in and going out, which will be a sealed connection, and extraneous water can't get into them. So that's our recommendation. As far as the pump station itself, we are recommending that you expand your pumping capacity, but you are limited on what you can do there because your force main, you've got a 3 mile force main that pumps from Kahiti to Tas's system in Vonore. And it would cost several $1 million to replace that force main. So we limited the scope of this to look at what will that force main take. Okay. What we've determined that the maximum flow rate that we can pump in that pump station is about 400 gallons a minute. But even that, considering the age of the force main, the conditions that exist, we're only recommending that you install pumps to go to 350 to give you some safety margin. Because that force main is 30 years old. It's not made of the best materials to start with. And quite frankly, it scares us. We would rather not stress it. We believe that going to 350 will reduce the amount of overflows you're having at that pump station, which are not that frequent. It has to rain pretty hard for you to have an overflow there. But going to 350 is going to reduce that even further, so that overflow shouldn't be the problem they are now. And, it will be also, we're putting in variable frequency drives, which will ramp up and down with the flows and better be able to keep up with the flows that are coming in, and making several improvements like that, but nothing that major. Probably the most major thing that we're proposing is a new odor control system. Okay. This odor control system is, when I say new, it's new. This is new technology. And Alex Twill, who is with us today, sells that equipment locally. His office is just in Lenore City. Works for Casimir and Associates, if you know Tim Casimir. But at any rate, he's going to come and tell us a little about his odor control system.
Good afternoon. As Richard mentioned, my name is Alex Tweel. I work with Casimir and Associates. I'm actually one of the part owners. Casimir and Associates has been representing technologies for the water and wastewater industry for over 50 years now. I myself have not been doing it for 50 years, obviously. Been doing it for about 9 years now, but my entire length of time with the organization I've spent promoting and selling odor control equipment to utilities very small and very, very large. The type of technology that we're bringing to bear here is we'll say a revamp or maybe the Cadillac version of a technology that some people may be familiar with called a drum scrubber. What that essentially is a vessel that you fill with specialized media pellets. There are several different phases of these pellets to capture various chemicals and odors that will off-gas from the sewage in the pump station wet well. The media is actually doing a chemical change to the odors as they interact with the media. So there's no chance of the gas slowly off-gassing from the media. It's completely a chemical change. It will not off-gas. So essentially what you're doing is routing all of the air in that wet well through piping up through this vessel. It's going to interact with the various stages of media, and what you get coming out of the vent is non-odorous air. So the media itself is a proprietary blend that has a very high capacitance for the prime odor-causing chemical, which would be hydrogen sulfide, H2S. There are other phases of the media that will take out some of the less concentrated but still present chemicals such as mercaptans. The drum scrubber itself has breakthrough detection technology. So if the media does get spent, and we're expecting that the media should last in the primary phase between 2 and 3 years before it needs to be replaced. The secondary beds should be 1 to 2 years. But you have access points within this drum scrubber to take core samples where you can have these sent off to a laboratory that we can facilitate so that these can be, the fouling rate of the media can be ascertained, and a preventative maintenance schedule can be put in place for each individual installation so that there's never a time where your media is spent and you're experiencing an odor problem. The company that we're partnering with is called Indusco. They've been doing odor control solutions for 44 years. They've done very large wet scrubbers that you might find at a very large wastewater treatment plants, down to this sort of on the smaller and simpler end of their scope, which is this. So this is really within their ballpark, very much in their scope of being able to handle. We do recommend that these devices see periodic maintenance, testing them, checking them, making sure that everything is working. There is a fan or blower that will suck some air at a low rate through the system. That needs to be occasionally checked. And again, as I mentioned, the media needs to be checked for whether or not it is spent. And we can provide those services as a subcontractor, or our team is also prepared to train telco utility staff to be able to perform that themselves. So that's the long and short of the technology explanation. And yes, please.
Alex.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't see you sneak up on me, Joel.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Alex, thank you. Great overview of this. Richard was telling me that this system can be put on not just this new system, but be retrofitted to the existing systems we have now. Is that correct?
Yes, you have, to my understanding, a drum scrubber at your pump stations already, sort of an older style. The main thing that my understanding it's lacking is a specialized media and frequent changeouts, which I believe that is currently using just carbon beads. And unfortunately, with carbon, they do a good job of catching stuff, but they do too good a job of catching stuff. They're catching things that aren't causing odors, which causes it to foul prematurely. Additionally, they don't have a very high capacitance for it. They can only hold so much H2S before they get spent. So while that media may be a little less expensive, you will definitely be paying more in changeout costs, freight, and complaints.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I think we're doing it once every quarter, but I think, Richard, you said we probably about every 6 weeks, I think you said, right?
I think you should be doing it almost monthly.
Yeah. So what's really exciting for us is that we are going to systematically go look at all of our lift stations and incorporate some kind of love, because they all need a certain amount of love going forward. But maybe what we could do is do the scrubbers before we because we're limited by how many of those we can do, whether our main pump stations finish. We can't touch Tokwa, for example, which has a terrible odor to it. But we could possibly go ahead and retrofit it with your system. And then when we look at upgrading it later, that equipment would bolt onto that as well. Is that my understanding?
Yes, I mean, certainly without doing too many modifications at a site, you could potentially put our media in your existing drum scrubbers. I don't know what the state of those are. I haven't seen them. They may not be in great shape. I imagine they're pretty old. But so you could theoretically just put media in those. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but I would do, but you can certainly just, as I said, if you've got a drum scrubber there, you've got most of the infrastructure already at the site, and you would just remove the existing old style drum scrubber for this one and just pipe it together and you'd be good to go.
Okay. Now, so as Richard was saying, that the new system, the new thing at Kanhiti, they're going to have variable speed pumps and SCADA computer systems, and they'll probably manage the level of the fluent in the tank, where now it's going up and down. Is that a problem to retrofit your?
It's better. It's only going to be better for me. You're going to have less odors. So the media isn't going to be spent as fast. So I say it's better for y'all's pocketbook, and you're not going to be buying media as often.
I'm just more excited about giving some relief to our residents who've been putting up with this for too long, and maybe we don't have to be tied to this schedule. We could actually maybe push it ahead and do that almost right away.
You're right, exactly. That's something that could be done pretty quickly.
Okay, something for us to discuss. Thank you.
One question, you said this requires maintenance. How often is the maintenance? So we're talking every quarter or 6 weeks we should be doing on current systems. What's that for this new system?
You wouldn't have to look at it any more than maybe once a quarter, maybe at the most. I would say maybe once a year, maybe once every 6 months would probably be more reasonable.
Okay.
We're just mostly making sure that we're still receiving power. Has it had a big shock? Maybe everything's fried it. It's nothing that's going to necessarily normal preventative maintenance. It's more of just checking it to make sure it's still working.
Are those pellets don't have to be replaced at any certain point?
Yes, there are 3 stages. The first stage is probably going to last 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
The second 2 stages are going to probably last 1 to 2 years.
So then we need to plan that into our maintenance program as we go forward.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And just to elaborate a little, you're already, you're paying about $2,000 a quarter now for the carbon that you're replacing. And this is just at Kahiti. Okay. So $8,000 a year. Total replacement of his media, which he projects in 2 to 3 year period, is $15,000. So it's almost equivalent money.
It just went up, Richard. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, from a media replacement standpoint, it's almost a wash. Okay. There is more, things to monitor, but it's also my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you can actually hook that up to SCADA and get those reports through SCADA. He doesn't even have to necessarily, if you get the system with those capabilities, you don't even have to go out there to monitor what the gas is doing. You could get on your phone and say, okay, we're at this level. We need to start looking at, media replacement. Okay.
Sorry, Richard, it's more of an on-off. There will be a detection system on this, and if it detects odorous gases, it's going to close a switch, and that switch can be hooked up to your SCADA, where your SCADA will be notified that you're having breakthrough.
Okay. So you get an alarm.
Yes.
Okay.
So I get an alarm before my phone rings at somebody that's not happy with me.
But at any rate, the system has a capability of monitoring itself, which is what's new really about this technology. Okay. You don't have to wait till you get an odor complaint. It tells you when an odor complaint is fixing to happen, go replace your media.
Its nose is right next to the discharge, where your nose theoretically are farther away than that.
Yeah.
Is that so?
And it's much more sensitive probably than my nose, I can tell you. After 45 years in this business, it just smells like money to me.
Alex, quick question for you. What type of odor level can we expect? And I know hydrogen sulfide's what everybody really smells and doesn't like, and I don't blame them. It smells like rotten eggs and other stuff. What What PPM are we expecting?
You should expect over a 99% reduction. So you really shouldn't detect anything. My expectation is that the breakthrough detectors would detect any measurable or smellable amount of it. So you really don't, I wouldn't expect that.
Richard, I got a couple of questions from you, what you previously said before.
Sure.
About the tanks. So basically that is digging up the tank in the yard and replacing the larger
Well-
tank with a smaller tank.
Well, digging it up, we don't think, we've talked to Matt on your utilities. We think what would probably be done is either it can be placed within the existing tank or they can intercept it outside of the tank and not have to dig up the whole old tank. The old tank would just be abandoned in effect.
So it'd be abandoned in a person's yard. Is there, if it is leaking, is there any type of hazardous waste or anything like that? That'd be a problem with that?
No hazardous waste, no. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, before you abandon it, you want to pump it out and clean it out, okay?
Okay.
Fill it
So-
up with stone. You don't want to leave the sewage in it, okay? That should not be part of the plan,
Okay. No.
okay?
So I think we need to develop a plan and something to do with this. And the problem is, what's the cost of this to do that? Because I think you're talking 6,275
know.
tanks here.
Yeah,
That's,
and I see it more as a maintenance item, and it's up to you how fast you want to do it.
okay.
Okay, it's not, once we put in this new pump station, you're not gonna be seeing as many problems as you've seen in the past, which will buy you some time. Plus, we are sizing it for the ultimate growth of Kahiti, not
Yeah.
just what you have now. So we've got some fat in there. So there's time to work. We think you can probably do this over a 10-year period.
Okay.
And it's really up to your budget. It's not up to me. It's up to how you want to set up your budget to replace these tanks.
So
They could do 5 or 6 a month.
So
They could
you're-
do 10 a month.
you're saying that the leakage is coming from underground, the tanks, not above.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's rainwater, but
yeah,
but
it's
it
seeping
comes
in underneath
that's
the
right.
tanks,
I
into
mean,
the gaskets and stuff around the tank itself.
that's right.
Okay. Sorry, I usually ask a lot of these questions at
That's fine.
PSAC meeting and a chance. I just got your proposal yesterday late in the morning, so I got a few other questions.
Sure.
Hey, Ed, before
you
you,
had-
before
you
you
asked a
go,
lot-
before you go on though, just to make clarification on your last point.
Yeah.
Richard, you were saying of I&I, this is an inflow problem, not an infiltration problem.
Yeah, it's not infiltration, it's inflow. If it's related to rainfall and your problem is definitely related to rainfall,
Yeah.
it is inflow. It is not infiltration. Infiltration is groundwater coming up above.
So it's groundwater coming down.
Well, it's rainwater.
Yeah, it's groundwater coming down.
It's
not coming up, it's
rainwater
down.
coming,
Okay.
getting around the tank.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So, couple other questions out here. Are you going to be doing anything to the wet well in Kahiti?
If it needs it, yes. We've got, it's big enough,
Okay.
okay? It's my understanding it was coated about 7 or 8 years ago. If that existing coating's in good shape, and we won't know until the contractor gets in there and cleans it up, it will be left. If it's not in good shape, we'll have to take it off and put new coating on it.
So I'm assuming the time as we're doing the upgrade, we have to have a bypass pump up there so that
That's
tank
correct.
is updating and that.
Yes.
How long do you think that bypass pump would be up there for doing this process?
We will not give the contractor a go-ahead to start work until he has all his equipment ready to go.
Okay.
He should be able to do this in 30 days.
Okay, so 30 days, you might have a bypass pump there.
That
And
is
I'm
correct.
sure the odor control will be something with that bypass pump, so.
During construction is a different thing entirely, obviously.
okay.
But it won't be an extended period, and we will make sure it's not an extended period. Like I say, we won't, although the contract, and just to give you a feel for it, I mean, it's not unusual on pump stations nowadays because of delivery times. It might be 6 months after we sign contracts before we let the contractor go to work.
Okay,
Okay, we don't let them go to work until he has everything he needs to proceed with the project.
okay, okay. And let's see, well. Oh, on your proposal, it says some miscellaneous, Station improvements. Can you clarify that for me?
No, you know, once, you know, a lot of that stuff until you, you know, with everything, when you're working with something, you can't see all of it.
Yep.
You don't know what you're going to run into.
Okay.
Okay. You know, so we always try to put a generous allowance. You know, we see this as being, you know, I think the estimate says 385. It's a $400,000 project. We think it's going to bid for around $400,000 if we get the right contractors interested in it. You know, and like I say, we've got 2 or 3 contractors who like to work with us, who do good work.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't know what your bylaws are, but for a project of this size, particularly if you do it in pieces, you know, this is almost, in my opinion, a maintenance project. Your bylaws might require you to bid it. My personal opinion is a project of this size, you'd be better off negotiating.
Okay. So with this project, can we get more details on the pumps you're recommending, manufacturers and specs on all
It's
that
the
stuff?
same pumps that are being used now. It's just a larger pump,
So same manufacturer and
same
everything that we're
manufacturer,
currently, just a
yes.
bigger pump.
just a bigger
Okay.
pump.
Can we get specs on the odor control system and stuff so we can review that too?
Sure.
Since that's a
Absolutely.
newer updated systems?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. You know, you know, just to clarify, we've looked at all this stuff, but we hadn't started design.
Okay.
So, you know, there are some unknowns out there.
Okay, so yeah, so now questions on the design. I know previously with Jacobs, you had a 10%, 30%, and 50% design. Are you just doing a whole 100% design at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will get full set.
For a project like this,
Yeah,
I mean, if it's a $25 million project, yeah, we'd show it to you in stages.
okay,
But all we're doing is replacing your pumps, and really, when it gets down to it, we're replacing your pumps and putting in an odor control system.
okay.
That's the project.
So question, if you do get in, the wet wells need to be recoded, what would be an estimate cost on something like that?
$15,000 to $20,000.
Okay, so it's not significant. Okay.
And I actually that's in the estimate. I assumed it's going to have to be done.
Okay, so warranty period on some of those coatings, what do they last nowadays?
If you believe their literature, you know, 15 to 20 years, David, is that not? Yeah. And I fully expect if the coating system is what I think it is, I think when we get in there and look at it after the contractor cleans it up, I think you're going to get some money back from the contract. You know, we'll put a line item in if we bid it or if we negotiate it.
Yeah.
There will be a line item for that, doing that. And if the contractor doesn't have to do it, you don't pay him the money. You know, it's that simple.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I got. The reason I asked that, because I live in Kahiti. So my friends and neighbors are going to be asking me these questions.
I understand.
So I want to make sure that I've got all the information for them.
One of your neighbors has already come to see me.
Okay, yeah, I went down. So, okay. Well, thank you.
But
Mike, Carla had a question that she texted me, if you don't mind if I read it. She doesn't have good audio. She's on a plane. So one of our board members, Carla Johnson, is listening to us right now, but she can't talk. She said, your words, not hers. Since you and David, I believe, are not spring chickens, is the company going to be around for warranty after your retirement?
well, first of all, you know, we're not contractors. We don't offer warranties. Okay. We're consulting engineers. We're no different than, you know, your financial consultant that, you know, you just did business with. I mean, our seal is our warranty. Okay. You know, when we seal something and we're required to seal all these plans, you know, we have insurance that backs that up. But as far as a written warranty, no, you know, there's no written warranty on professional services. You know, but I can tell you that, you know, like I say, you can talk to any of our clients when and if there are problems, we deal with them directly and promptly.
In that vein, your contractor is going to warranty his work
That's
anyway.
right. The contractor warrants their work. But no, engineering services are not quote unquote warranted. Yeah.
So, Mike, obviously this didn't go through PSAC or the FAC because I attended the FAC and it wasn't on a PSAC agenda. Can we explain why this did not go and everything else in the past has?
Well, not everything's gone through PSAC yet. The water line that the new contractor's putting in out at Kahiti didn't go through PSAC. The sewer tie-in didn't go through PSAC.
And I was thinking, why? It should be.
Well, I don't know, Ed. We're just trying to get the best service for the Kahitians that we can as quickly as we can at the best value. And we have a tendency sometimes to overthink the simple. And right now, we've got this in the budget. We've got a great design. We've got a contractor who's done this, who can bring multiple bids to bear versus just a single one. And you've experienced it out there with your fence process.
Yep.
Hopefully, this will change the way the village is seen locally and give us more exposure to get more competitive bids, to get better things for the service. But that's the whole reason that we went by that way. We tried to engage C2RL through PSAC. They weren't interested. They wanted to go with a much larger firm for a very small project. And I think Richard hit it on the head. I think it's a maintenance issue, more so than a true EPC.
And we're going to talk about this a little bit later, Ed. I've got about 4.5 million reasons I'm going to tell you why. Okay.
No, but, okay. Okay. So, we're looking, so if what we're approving today is the engineering and potential project costs. Okay. We will be coming back from the engineer, from the contractors with the scope of work and everything, hopefully from those bids, and we'll have to approve those bids in the future, correct?
That's incorporated in this estimate.
So that's all incorporated in this estimate, correct?
The bids themselves, you're talking about.
The actual bid.
Okay, are you talking about the construction contractor, or are you talking about our contractor?
The construction contractors.
Oh, that's a different thing entirely.
But
Construction.
it's in this proposal
Yeah.
for the cost of the project.
Well, the estimate's in the proposal.
Yes.
Okay,
And eventually we'll have to approve the bid from the contractor.
yeah, but
That's
and
what I'm sure.
we do not guarantee that's going to match that estimate, but,
Yeah.
we think that's in the right ballpark.
How far off were you on 25 million?
2.5,
Well,
and that's 3 years later.
So I'll take that bet.
okay. Yeah, that's less than 10%. So, okay.
Yeah, and, but we can't guarantee what the project's going to bid for. I mean, that's, we just can't do that.
Wouldn't ask you to.
Thank you.
You can do it. It would just cost a lot more on the
Yeah,
guarantee.
well,
Yeah.
no, I'd just say bye, see you later.
Okay.
I'm close enough to walking out the door. We don't go there.
Thank you for putting up with all my questions.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Joel, did you want this or did we want to go ahead and get on to the? Okay. Appreciate you guys. You're free to go if you're done with your business here. We appreciate you. But I do want a card and I want to find out how to get a hold of you because we do want you to look at the other lift stations that we have that are rather odoriferous right now. And we'd like to mitigate that as soon as possible.
Mr. President, I would like to add, I want to thank, that's one of the, I guess, simplest presentations, that I've heard, and I know nothing about it, but you really got me concerned about my 27-year-old septic tank. But great presentation and explanation.
Mike, may I ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I was just curious about the recommendation to replace the tanks. And either way, whether you leave the old tanks in or dig them up and
We haven't defined that yet, Carla.
install new tanks. I understand, but my question would be, who would pay for that? Would that be on the homeowner to pay for that tank, or would that be on the POA to pay for that tank?
That's yet to be determined, and we haven't gone down that path yet, but it's certainly discussion for this board and for the financial advisory committees.
Okay, thank you.
Please step up to the mic so Carla can hear you. State your name, please.
For you, Richard, is there some physical characteristic or geological determination that would help the board prioritize which tanks should be replaced sooner rather than later?
No, not that I really know of. My opinion would be, if you know what the oldest tanks are, get rid of those first. You know, but no, beyond that, there's really nothing. You know, some of the newer tanks, if they weren't put in right, could be even larger problems. But I would still probably start with the older ones. Okay, does that make sense? But once again, you know, our report just recommends that you start a program to do that. How quickly you do it and how aggressively you do it is up to y'all.
Well, if you do it over 10 years, the technology may change between now and
That's
then
right.
too.
That's exactly
So
right.
there's always opportunities.
There's
to
always
improve.
opportunities to improve, but how you do that and how you go about that is y'all's decision, not ours. We're not going to make a recommendation there because it's not my money.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right. Anything else before we leave?
No, I got your number.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hold on. I guess we got one more. Let's see.
Going back to the PSAC meeting in June, at the beginning, Matt had identified 98 tanks that alarmed in May. These are the same tanks that we're talking about now, right?
I don't know which tank's alarmed. I can't speak.
Resident
I
tanks
know,
that
but
alarm.
there are 3 different designs of tanks.
Okay, and that's kind of where I was going because in that meeting you talked about there were 3 different things that he found common in all 98 tanks. What I hear Richard saying, he's talking about replacing just the tank. But one of the items that was discussed in the PSAC meeting was that all of those tanks had flight pumps in them. Do the tanks that you're talking about include the pumps
Yeah.
or
That's totally, yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
total
okay.
package.
it's the whole thing?
Pump and tank.
Thank you.
One more question for you, Richard. Sorry, I was just thinking.
Quick, run.
So, you said that waste is very corrosive the way it's coming out of our tanks right now.
Correct.
Is it possible that our wet wells are 30, 40 years old in these pump stations that it's deteriorated some of the concrete or something like that?
Well, it's not the wet well at the pump station is concrete.
Yeah,
Now, that's why it was coated, I would assume, 10 or 12 years ago. They
Okay.
observed deterioration, so they applied a coating. But if it's coated well, it is protected. It's not a problem.
if not, there might be some,
Yeah.
we might find out we have to replace some of these wet wells.
Well.
But you won't know that until you get in there.
That's right. You won't know until you actually get in there and clean it out and
Yeah.
look at it. If it's a coating system, I think they installed, I would be very surprised if you need new coatings. Okay.
Okay.
If they were if the contractor did his job,
Okay.
if it's what I think it is, it's a quality coating system that should last you 15, 20, 25 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Run, Richard, run.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Well, we've got money in the bank. We've got wastewater getting out of the tanks. I guess we're going to approve the meeting minutes from last year or from last meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, Mr. President, I move we approve the open meeting minutes from June.
I'll second.
On the question? They keep dropping like flies. All in favor of approving the minutes? Carla?
Carla got disconnected.
Okay, then we'll show that as 5-0. And I guess, is that an abstention, or how do you qualify that when they get up and walk out? I guess it's 5-0.
I don't think Joel wants me to put in the minutes where he is.
Well, we can amend the minutes. At this time, I'm going to pass up on my opening remarks and put it out to open forum put it out to Kevin, because there were some questions raised at the town hall meeting. And I'd like to ask Kevin to address those for us as far as ACC approval of the tree and monuments out front.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I was asked to give a little review and comment on the scope of the ACC's authority under the governing documents, and particularly with respect to this project, as certain questions were raised previously, I think, by some of the residents. And I want to start with the declaration, which defines the scope of the ACC authority. That's the original governing document for Tellico Village, and it defines the scope of the ACC authority, stating it has authority to approve all buildings, fences, walls, or other structures that are constructed or installed upon the project. Now, the project, very broadly, is defined earlier in the declaration to include all residential lots, commercial lots, and common property. So the ACC does have authority, and this was a question that a lot of people had raised. The ACC does certainly have authority over common property. However, the scope of the ACC authority is limited to only cover buildings, fences, walls, or other structures. And so that's kind of the distinction that we wanted to clarify in this process. In addition, Section 2 of the Protective Covenants provides a little more context for the ACC's authority. And it says ACC permits shall be required for any construction activity within the project set forth in Article 11 of the Declaration. So that gives a little more clarification of the scope and goes back to defining the buildings, fences, walls, or other structures. There were some questions asked about signage and what is signage, or how is that governed, and is that within the scope of the ACC authority? Signage is referenced in the protective covenants, specifically in Section 19. And when they refer to signage, they look at directional signs, signs for identification of streets or amenities, and signs for businesses within the commercially platted property. So that provides the context for what is signage, and what would be within the scope of the ACC's authority. So from a broader perspective and a historical perspective, the board, frankly, has the authority to deal with things outside the scope of the ACC's purview. And that would, historically within Tellico Village, that would include markers, monuments, decorations, benches, plaques, any other decorations that you would typically find in and around the amenities and in and around the common property. Those have always been approved by the board, have not been approved by the ACC historically. And reason being is that it's not within the defined scope of the authority of the ACC. So that's kind of the distinction in what the role of the ACC is, and their particular scope with respect to this project, if that provides more clarification.
Hopefully that covered everything.
So Kevin, I believe a few years ago, the ACC got involved for the Blue Book for like certain decorations in the yards, like heights of certain things, like statues and stuff like that. Is that correct?
That's within the Blue Book for residential lots.
Okay.
The ACC does.
But that doesn't.
And that's also comes within the confines of maintenance of residential properties and the general aesthetics of the property.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to open it up to the floor. We're going to limit this to 30 minutes. So be considerate. Cool. Thank you.
David Egan, Meal neighborhood. I was wondering about what people were saying, that all the approvals from TRDA and the POA board, et cetera. So I went and asked the TRDA, could they give me the information about the approvals? And I got some interesting information. First was a text message from Monday, April 7th from Kimberly Brown. And she asked, as part of the 250 celebration, we would like to plant a Liberty tree, which would be a small sugar maple just in front of the yacht club. I have permission from the POA. Do I have permission from you? And Brian Hall, who is the executive director, said, yes, Kimberly, since we own the property, we would also grant that permission. I think that'd be a great tribute. TDRA would be good with that. Could I consider this permission, or does it need to be more formal? And Brian came back and said, yes, this will be a verbal approval from TDRA. So there was a form that was then put up to the ACC about approval for that, and Holly Hopper wrote to to Brian Hall asking, saying the Conservative Club at Tellico Village has planted a Liberty tree and installed 2 memorial historical markers at the front entrance of Tellico Village Yacht Club. In submitting the permit for this project, CCT stated that they had obtained approval from you. Do you mind forwarding me a copy of the approval so I can attach this to their permit? We'll be reviewing this permit on July 2nd at our monthly meeting. And the response back was, Holly, good morning. In regard to the request for allowing the planting of a tree at Tellico Yacht Club property that TDRA owns and is being leased by the Tellico Village POA, I personally wasn't sure, so I looked back at my text conversation with Ms. Kimberly Brown on April 27th at 5:39 p.m., and I did grant her permission to plant a sugar maple tree just in front of the yacht club. She stated that she had permission from the POA and was requesting permission from TDRA, which I granted. The historical markers were not discussed in the conversation. Please let me know if you need further assistance. So that was just the history from the TDRA, and I see I only have 30 seconds left. So I attended the July 2nd ACC meeting. When asked about the TRD approval for the Liberty Tree and markers, it was stated that approval was granted, and when asked to have a copy of the TDRA permit to attach to the ACC permit application, the ACC permit application was drawn by the petitioner. It has been stated numerous times that the TDRA has approved this, and that's only a partial truth. This new board promised transparency, honesty, and truth when they assumed office. I expect.
David, thank you.
Good afternoon, Pandora Vreeland, live on Kiowa Point. I came here today to let you know that I vigorously support this board. Please know you have many thousands of ardent supporters, and the people I talk to are very grateful for your hard work and the great solutions you're bringing to our village. Thank you for determining that we should receive a $720 refund of our fees for water and sewer. Thank you for stopping the horrible, god-awful stink tank that was going to be installed in the middle of our village, and now sparing the nice people of Kahiti the same horrible situation. I'm glad they're being spared of having a stink tank in their neighborhood. Thank you for hiring C2RL for this Kahiti pump station job and saving us many millions of dollars. I believe $4.5 million roughly we're going to be saving. $4.5 million. This is wonderful. Thank you for your efforts to get us regulated by TBOR. That's hard work. To get legislation passed and signed by the governor in the amount of time that was done, that's almost miraculous. Thank you for that. That will save future boards, when you guys are playing golf full-time, from, again, using our water rates as a way to fund things. That is really going to help not just our generation, but those that come after us. Thank you for selecting a reputable outside advisory company. In this case, it's Troon. I will look forward to your benchmarking data and helping us to be even more efficient and great here in the village. And thank you for the balanced scorecard, which is helping our employees and our residents, improving everything along those lines. My final thank you is for analyzing and transferring the many millions of dollars that you've recently transferred from general reserves to the water and sewer reserves where the money belongs. I could go on. I don't want your heads to get big. But I'm literally down on one knee thanking you for the countless hours you put into researching all these problems and bringing these great solutions to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pandora. Please.
Well, hello, my name is Lloyd Donnelly. I've lived here for 27 years. I love it here and I love my country. I'm here to talk about the Liberty Tree. I am now a member of the Sons of the American Revolution, or called SAR, and I helped arrange for the Liberty Tree to be planted at the Yacht Club. The Yacht Club Liberty Tree is one of 308 such trees that have recently been planted across the nation to honor our 250th birthday. And unlike parades, speeches, and fireworks that last momentarily and then are forgotten, this is a memorial that will last for generations to come. I'm aware of the concerns expressed on Nextdoor and Monday's town hall meeting. I was unable to attend the town hall, but I did watch the video. And I'd come away with three concerns that people have raised. One, about the granite markers and who approved them, the memorials being unprecedented in Tellico Village, and the markers looking like gravestones, and that they were donor plaques, and they should be much smaller. With respect to approval, we thought we had all the approvals. We thought we had done everything to obtain all the right approvals, and we leave you to be the judge whether we did or not. Is this memorial unprecedented? It certainly is not. There are several other memorials here in Tellico Village. Among them is a Veterans Memorial Garden with multiple granite markers at Tenassi, a granite marker remembering General Sam Carpenter at the Wellness Center, and there are two dog memorials with granite markers at Tokwa and a cruising club memorial not far from the Yacht Club. With respect to appearance, the markers at the Yacht Club are an essential part of this memorial. Without the markers, the tree itself is just another tree, having no special meaning. The SAR decided to have them upright so they would be visible to people walking and driving by. Markers laid flat within that location could not be seen. We want people to see the markers and to read them so that they will understand the significance of the site. I am running out of time very quickly here. I just want to say in closing that I believe the concerns voiced on Nextdoor and the town hall are politically motivated, and as such, they don't carry much weight with me. What weight they carry with you is up to you. I urge the board to preserve the Yacht Club Liberty Tree site as it is, because I see it as a positive, patriotic addition to our community. Thank you for allowing me to speak with 7 seconds to go.
Well, I'm not used to a mic because my voice carries quite well. So I'm going to
Well,
adjust
it doesn't go out over the internet without it, so I gotta
No,
get you up
that's
there.
fine. That's fine. So my name's Trisha Polin.
Would you step up to the mic, please, Trish? Thank you.
Yes. My name is Trisha Polin. I live in Quaity Coves. So I felt it was important to come and speak to you in support of the Liberty Tree and markers because of the importance behind the project, honoring our nation's veterans and shared history in a very meaningful way. That exact shared history is what unites us as a community, regardless of our individual religions, ethnicities, or political affiliations. The stir around the project with chosen words to mislead the listener seems to stem from one main factor: subjective opinions about visual appeal of standard historical markers. The Liberty Tree markers follow a standard design chosen by the Sons of the American Revolution, which is used at numerous historical national sites across the country. This is not a custom or arbitrary installation, but one rooted in established historical tradition. I also want to stress that the dedication has already taken place. So any decision to remove or refuse those elements now would represent a profound, gross disrespect to the daughters and sons of the American Revolution. Not long ago, our community voiced significant criticism regarding aesthetics over the new entrance and neighborhood signs. More recently, there have been discussions and questions about whether the new Tanasi Clubhouse fits Tellico Village aesthetics due to the modern style, as opposed to the more traditional woodsy appearance. These debates highlight ongoing conversations about design and change in our community. For context, I have photos of several existing memorial markers throughout Tellico Village. I have been unable to locate any corresponding public ACC or POA board records approving their placement, so this raises questions about selective scrutiny. Where was the similar concern or fuss for those prior installations? The project was taken in good faith, so I respectfully urge you to honor the original intent of the project and allow the Liberty Tree and markers to stand as a lasting symbol of liberty, gratitude, and historical remembrance. Any action to remove the tree and markers would cast an unnecessary negative light on our community at a time when we should be celebrating our shared American history and heritage. United we preserve, or united we fall and fail. Thank you.
Thank you. Lloyd, I'm gonna hold you to this. I've got another one, speaker behind.
I apologize. Could I have 1 minute?
You don't get, you can have a second chance after everybody's spoken.
Hi, I'm Terry Fizek, Kahiti resident. Claude, at the town hall meeting on Monday, and I want to understand or know if I heard you right. Did you say that for Tibor, that the POA would submit the mayor's designation letters, or would the mayors be sending those directly?
No, it's my understanding, and you're not allowed to quote me, by the way. My understanding is we present them to the mayors for signature, and then we take them to Tibor, the governor, whoever the right person is. But my understanding is we become officially regulated once they sign them, give them back to us, and then we deliver them to the appropriate place.
Okay, so you are really the conduit for delivering those to Tibor. So in essence, you control the timing on regulation.
I would not say I'm the conduit, the board. I mean, they may say, Claude, go do it, but
I'm saying you.
But the board decides when we deliver those. Yes.
So if they're
whether they get, because I think the Loudon mayor's meeting on May 3rd, 4th, 5th. Let's assume he signs it that day. Whether they're delivered the next day or sometime later, generically is up to us. Yes.
okay. So so they signed the letters, but before the jurisdictional transfer became effective, would that be an opportunity for us to get answers on any implementation questions that arise in that kind of gray area?
Yes, it would be. That would, whatever time we have, whether that's days, whatever it is, that's.
Could it be, so I'm an accountant.
I am too.
I hate fiscal year stuff. It's so hard. Would it be able to be put off till January 1st?
That's the hope of your board.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure I could say that on video.
Is there a time limit imposed? Pardon me, Dennis Olson, resident.
There you go, Dennis. Thanks.
Is there a time limit imposed by the legislation that was signed by the governor?
There is not. The legislation itself authorizes us to pursue the process to become a utility district by statute, and there is no time limitation. We control that process.
So we could take forever.
We control the process and the timing.
Thank you.
Just, there's a lot of stuff as we're discussing that has to be moved over. To move the data over would take 3 to 4 weeks easily. And then you're talking, we got to have different payrolls. Okay, and this insurance policy is on this building. What percentage of that goes to this? There's a lot of interested maintenance contracts, as Carrie was bringing up. We all need to look into this and what percentage goes to that and what. So it's really in depth, even which shovel goes to which organization. So that's one of the things we have to work out.
Ed, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing that it's going to take a lot of time. I was just asking if there was any limitation imposed. That's all.
And I'll take this on me so that y'all know where it came from, is I asked the board earlier today if there was any way that we could potentially delay this till maybe January 1st, so we could start the year right. Because once we do deliver, we're officially under regulation and we have to be doing our accounting and everything. And if that were today, we're not ready. So that's when we have to be ready.
Exactly. We want to make sure our financials and everything are aligned so they don't come back and say, you got a problem. So that's why the delay is. And, I think everybody wants us to start the new year off being regulated.
Dennis, please, the mic, we'll give you a little bit of a mulligan on this one.
Are you also talking to TAUD? Finding out what their recommendations are?
TAUD and rate studies. They are a very popular deal, and we're dealing with all of those people trying to get clarity. We heard today that we may not be covered by GASB, that LUB does not do that. Our accountant, C&J, are very familiar. They do, Judy, who else? Yeah, go ahead and help me out here.
They're a very large utility auditor in the area, and they are our CPAs. So they're very knowledgeable about utility districts.
Okay. So we've got a lot of balls in the air. You guys weren't here for the executive session. We kicked it pretty good, and
Get an invite.
I'm not picking a fight. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Since I have a little extra time, I am going to also thank the board for volunteering your time and effort to help run this village. I know how much time it takes, and it takes an awful lot, so thank you. Couple of more points. I mentioned earlier that there were 308 markers that the SAR has installed across the country. Nationwide, we've used many different kinds of markers. Some are upright like ours. Some are natural stone with a plaque, very much like the Cruising Club marker that's been approved. Some are laid flat like the Sam Carpenter marker at the Wellness Center. They virtually come in every shape, color, and style. The exact type of granite marker used at the Yacht Club was used at the American Heritage Center in Townsend, the historic Ramsey House in Knoxville, and at the Loudoun County Courthouse with zero controversy. I say zero controversy. We had 50 to 60 people at our dedication on June 27th. Every comment I received and others received at that event were positive, not one negative. In fact, Loudoun County Mayor Buddy Bradshaw likes the courthouse marker so much, he's helping us with the financing. So I must say that beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, for sure. Thank you.
Hey, hey, Mike, after Linda, I have a question from online.
Scared me to death, Beth. Oh my gosh. Linda Garza from Toqua. I've been here in Tellico Village for 8 years. The following remarks are my own personal remarks. Like others here today, I'd like to thank the board for many of their actions and time. Recently, if you are a member of Toqua, you may have experienced or seen the large tree that fell down across the road at Toqua during a storm. It had to have been a good 3 feet wide. A lot of that tree was left behind and kind of on the side of the road. And yesterday, after a a meeting, I got home and on the way noticed it absolutely disappeared. So I'm not sure how it happened, but I'm sorry?
Tree fairies.
The tree, the tree fairies. Well, the POA tree fairies, I'd like to say I appreciate their support because it was a very big concern based on the size of the little runoff on the road. There'd be an opportunity for accidents. I'd also like to thank the communications department and the folks who have put together our surveys. I received a survey, and it was a mail survey. I will say that it took me a while to find it. It was in my spam folder for over 2 weeks. I just happened to be cruising my spam folder and found it. So I do encourage all residents, if they haven't received and participated in the survey, to please check your spam folder and not miss the opportunity to provide feedback. I also encourage everyone to utilize the QR codes and the toast machines to provide feedback on our amenities. I'd also like to thank the opportunity, and I almost missed it in the Gram yesterday, in regards to the ITAC, the Information Technology Survey that is currently going on in regards to our systems here in the village. Very well put together survey. Covering a lot of the systems here in the village. So a great opportunity for residents to provide their feedback. Don't miss out on that opportunity. I echo what a lot of residents said on Monday at the town hall in regards to the new food and services manager, Miss Christine Martinez. I think you're going to be a huge asset to the village, and really excited about seeing what you can do in the future. Mike, you know I live in Tokwa, and I am right down the street from that pump station. So today's presentation from C2RL was a welcome, very encouraging words. I'm looking forward to the results getting closer to Tokwa. There you go. So great work, and hopefully we can expedite the services to all of the pump station to address those concerns sooner than later. I also would like to take a second just to say I respect everyone who has had an opinion. Opinions are like choices. They're also like DNA. They're different. Everybody has a different DNA. Everybody has a different vision. Me personally, I'll read this just so that I don't miss anything and try and make it quick. As a daughter of a Marine Corps sergeant and the mother of a Coast Guard officer, I consider myself a proud American. The American flag flies prominently at our house, and I share this to emphasize my deep respect for our nation and those who have served and the values that they defend. I support the addition of the Liberty Tree in our community and appreciate the generosity of those who made it possible. However, I am concerned that the accompanying markers resemble gravestones and distract from both the beauty and the beauty of the tree, as well as the welcoming appearance of the yacht club. While I understand and appreciate
30 seconds, Linda.
While I understand and appreciate the donor's desire to be recognized for their generous contributions, I believe there is an alternative marker design that would provide appropriate recognition while being more aesthetically compatible with the surrounding landscape. I respectfully ask the board to consider the replacement of the current markers with a design that is more complementary to the location. I also believe the markers honoring the Tellico Village resident family member who served our country is a meaningful tribute. However, in my opinion, that type of memorial would be more appropriately placed within the Veterans Memorial previously approved and sponsored by Timeless Tellico. Establishing individual memorial markers in this location may unintentionally create an expectation that other residents will be offered, offended, the same opportunity. Thank you.
Guys, we've got about 5 minutes left. and we're
Hey, I
done.
have that one question online from Karen. I'm going to butcher her last name, Karatzamots. She wants to know, if this is approved by the board, will other people be able to add their own monuments in memory of their family in the same location?
That'll be a board decision that I may not be here when it's made.
David Egan again. I just wanted to finish my closing statement. That I attended the July 2nd ACT.
David, that was not me.
No, but I did attend the meeting, and there was a lot of non-information that was given as far as approvals, et cetera. And one of the things is the school board promised transparency, honesty, and truth.
David, wait, I'm going to clarify that for a minute. This board did not promise that. 3 candidates did, and they're working hard in that space to make sure that's clear.
Okay, I said I expect that from anyone holding public office, anyone, including candidates running for public office. It's just a standard. If you're going to be governor, you do it for all the people. I am of the opinion that the POA board did not live up to those ideals and values as they stated in their primary objectives. And I just expected better. Thank you.
Lloyd, you're going to be our last speaker because our half hour's up. We're going to move on and get on to some business.
Indeed. And I'll be brief. I think people have mischaracterized the markers in 2 ways. They've been called donor markers. They are not donor markers. They are markers to explain the significance of the Liberty Tree. This lady that was just up here referred to them as a personal memorial to the person's parents. It was not. The purpose of that marker is to explain the history of the Liberty Tree, which it does. It's only appropriate that since they paid for that marker, that at the bottom, it explains that they were donated and they wanted to do the donation in memory of their father. And I think that's a very nice thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been a little bit out of order, so I'm going to go ahead and run something by you here. I'm going to do my opening remarks. We're going to call them middle remarks for just a minute here. As you heard earlier, is this board going to have some blunders? Yep, we're a board. We're not omnipotent. What your newly elected board has done, in 2019, we had $20.9 million in revenues. And as you just saw in the audited financials, last year's income was $48.9 million. In that same space, we've gone from less than 200 employees in 2019. And Russell, are you in here? Where are we going to be by the time Tanasi opens? 500?
440 with 181.
So when you talk about what we've done and how much we've grown, we're going to have over 500 employees when Tanasi opens. We're no longer a small $20 million neighborhood property owners association. Hence, we brought Troon in to look over our shoulder and make sure that we're doing the best we can with the tools that we have and tell us what our new tools need to be. We brought Troon in. We wanted them to see what we do and see what you guys want and bring their expertise from other communities that they manage. It's very important to us. We secured a second opinion on TAP. You saw part of that today. We had been previously instructed by PSAC that we couldn't do that. There was professional services and that we could not go out to other professional services by Tennessee state law 12.4.16A. I may be off on the numbers. And I reviewed that with the state attorney general's office, a gentleman by the name of Matthew Mondi. And he assured me that because we are a privately held corporation, the public law does not apply to us. So we went out and did what we're supposed to. We tried to save you guys some money. We've adequately secured $2 million worth of grant money that had fallen between the cracks with the changeover from our COO and our CEO 2 years ago. We got that, Judy's got on it, and Matt's helping in that space, and we're working hard in that. The Kahiti Pump Station, and Joel will have a little presentation on this in just a minute, went from 5 million to less than 500,000. And we're gonna have it done 2 years in advance. Hired Christine. She seems to be about the one thing everybody kind of agrees on around here, so I'll take credit for that. We had open board. I've been going back through the executive session minutes. Thank you, Karen, and read them from the past 7 years. Never in the 7 years that I've seen did we have open committee appointments in the open meeting. They were all done behind closed doors. So when we do these things and it's new, a lot of people interpret them as bad, but when you read the articles, the bylaws, we're just trying to follow the rules. Whereas sometimes they were overlooked before. We permanently eliminated the $80 tap fee. You guys saw that on this floor. We're going to give you your $80 back. Claude's working his tail off and Judy is too, along with the T-Bore stuff and everything else, and we'll get that going. We've reduced the water and sewer rates to cover our costs plus a markup. We want to make a little bit on them so we can do the upgrade. Where's Linda? We're going to do the upgrade at Tokwa. So we're going to have a little, keep that in our water and sewer kitty and get that going. But we intend to take the odor control to all the stations first, because apparently when we upgrade them later on, they will integrate into the new upgrades. Balanced scorecard, that's going to come up here in just a minute. They've talked about it, and I went back and read the meeting minutes. They've been talking about balanced scorecard for 7 years. Did you guys realize that? I didn't. I about fell out of my chair when I read that part. Talked about it, asked people to implement it, never carried the ball across the finish line. We got it across the finish line this year, and we're going to use it to help us develop the budget for next year. We've expanded the hours at the Wellness Center and expanded revenue at the Wellness Center. And I thank Larry for all of that and his hard work in that arena, and it was a good thing. We've had a rolling stock audit. When we go out and we see Teleco Village trucks in town, we start wondering, what are we doing in town? We've seen them on the 40 before, and once they put the signs on it, it trimmed some of that down, but we've expanded the rolling stock audit. We've done many things to try to help you guys. There's a lot going on. We're not perfect. We got the legislation through. We've done a lot. So please be patient with us. We've been in this seat 6 months, and we're working forward to get that going. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mike, to expand on the growth that we've had, if you look at the audited financial statement from 2018, this village lost $32,000. We now have money in the bank and to be able to do things. If the Tenacity would have burnt down in 2018, we had a problem. So, but yeah, so the growth and the management has gotten much better over the years.
Who's got the balanced scorecard? Claude, Joel.
I'm going to start her off. Good afternoon, everyone. So we're going to do something kind of piggyback on what we did last time. As you know, there's 4 main perspectives to the balanced scorecard. I'm going to cover the customer. Judy's going to cover financial. Claude will finish up doing the last 2, the internal processes and learning and growth. Next, please. Just a reminder, 14 initiatives, 14 PDCAs, Plan, Do, Check, Acts. Next slide, please. So let's start off with property owner satisfaction. This initiative did not have a goal. This is the first year doing it. Next year, we'll have a goal for what our target property owner satisfaction. This is a more robust survey. This is one basically sent to the residents to ask them, how do you feel the POA is doing in running the village? We initially started off with a target of trying to get 50 per month. We have since changed that to go on to 1,100. Linda, I appreciate your comments that we're only getting about a 17% response rate, so please check your spam, see if it's in there. We'd love to hear from you. It takes just over 10 minutes. I think 12, 13 is what I'm hearing the average. Next slide, please. So let me just give you a little bit of feedback about the property owner survey. Again, we have 3 questions regarding demographics, how long you've been here, things of that nature. Number 2, we have 4 questions regarding our infrastructure maintenance and operation. We have 4 questions regarding amenities and activities. We have 5 questions regarding fees and cost. And we have 4 questions regarding operations. And there's some overall questions that give us the overall picture. So we've summarized it into 4 major categories. If you're moving from the top left quadrant, you can see that our POA infrastructure and maintenance operations were coming in around almost 80%. Top right-hand quadrant, you'll see amenities and activities is our highest scoring quadrant, coming in at 86%. Bottom left, fees and costs, not so good, coming at 71.6%. And then we go to the bottom right, POA operations, around 75%. Next slide, please. So we have verbatim comments in there. So the top thing says the purpose of this surveys were completed to let verbatims be in there. So not just answering those questions on a 5-star scale, but actually giving you a chance to write your comments. Bruce Polanski is on the team, and he has done some extensive summarization of those. And the conclusions are basically this. When it comes to golf, 4.2 stars. It's our highest rating of the amenities, if you will. The second is all other amenities coming in at 4 stars. The last one, restaurants, coming in at 3.4 stars. When taking all the different verbatims, the top 3 recommendations we got was, number 1, make restaurant improvements is the highest immediate priority. Second, clarify restaurant finances. And third, review restaurant menus, pricings, and hours. But like we said, Christine is just new here, so this is why she's here. We need to get as the residents are asking us, please focus on those areas. So now I'm going to move on to the customer experience surveys. This is the one that just basically asks 3 questions. They have QR codes, and thanks again, Linda, for putting a plug in for those. These are the ones where you're say, how was your round of golf? How was your meal? How was your visit to the wellness center? How was your visit to the POA office? Or how was a public works visit to your home? Next slide, please. So you saw the overall, it was 84, but if you look at the different categories, parts and rec, golf, restaurants, public works, the 4 areas, the little arrows, if you're looking at it from April through June, the arrows are showing, are they trending up or trending down? So if you look at June, the very last line, parts and rec, 2 of them were trending down, parts and rec and restaurants, where golf and public works and POA offices are trending up. Next slide, please. So the 4 graphs show how the June results. So the 3 questions we have, like if we look at, say, golf, for example, you talk about the course conditions, the pace, and the staff. These 3 questions for each one of them show like where they are in regards to the goal. And the goal, again, is 85% satisfaction. Green means you've hit or exceeded the goal. Yellow means you're typically within 5% of the goal. Red means you're outside of 5% of the goal. So we have a couple areas, value in restaurants and over in parts and rec. I can't read that. Yeah, we need to build that up a little bit.
Sorry, this was my first month doing it. I made those a little small.
So, but that for parts and rec, the first one there is facility. So there's some concerns about the facility that's being expressed. And again, there's room in there for verbatim comments. So when you do rate, anytime you can provide verbatim, especially when you're rating high or low, let's not forget the good news, everyone. Don't forget the good news. Share that too, please. You can indicate what that might be. So if we dug into that, we would be able to, I'm sure, find out what that is, because people are really good about putting in some comments, and they're really complimentary to staff. And I hope we're getting that information to them, Claude, because there's a lot of good information to be given about employees at the TV POA. Next slide, please. Here's the part that's probably the most concerning. If you look at the number of QR surveys, this is the last 3 months, look at the trend. 210, 178, 144. So we're trending down. I know that, Claude, can you talk about that briefly, please?
Yeah, I mean, we are trending down, and one of the things, like, thank you, Linda. I mean, you said something today that the property owners one was in your spam folder for a couple of weeks, and Joel and I just looked at each other and went, oh, crud, maybe that's why we're not getting some there. We need to do a better job with our team of getting people to do it. But I will say we've tried a couple of things in golf. We started a few weeks ago, probably mid-June. emailing at the end of the week everyone who played that week. We found out that we could do that. Unfortunately, we found out that when it went to you, it looked like we were just telling you again you had a reservation for a tee time you'd already played, and so it got ignored. So we're trying to send it a different way. But if you see something like that, don't just glance at it and go, oh, that's about something that's already happened. Look at it and see if it's the survey, so we can get more information. In food and beverage, we're just in numbers, we're getting about 3,000 responses a month in Toast, but we haven't been able to look at Toast yet and make sure it correlates with our survey. So please do our survey as well, so we can see which works better, and maybe we end up just going to Toast because it is a little easier for you. But please don't just take the Toast survey and not do the other survey as well, to help us out there. Because one, we just want to hear from more people, but two, the smaller the sample size, the more it can be affected by one or two bad events, which we don't want to have, versus having a larger sample size. You get a better idea of what you're really doing across the board. But as Joel said, the key thing that I look at even more than the numbers is the verbatims. If you said something, what is it you said? So we can look at those specific areas, because it really helps with that.
Thank you, Claude. So last one under customer, the help spot. So this is something that's been in existence for quite a while. It's very, very well utilized and known tool. And as you can see, it's still doing very well. We have an 85% satisfaction goal there as well. So when you do get a help spot, it's going to come back at the conclusion and say, how satisfied were you? Please answer that. It's really helping us out. And with that, I'll turn it over to Judy to cover the finances.
Thank you Thank you, Joel. Clear up my path here. Okay. I guess I'll tell somebody down there when to change the slides for me. Okay, we're looking at expenses. Expenses continue to trend favorably through June. These figures on this slide do include depreciation and interest expense, more than just beyond just the operating expenses. June expenses finished approximately 32% favorable to the budget, while year-to-date expenses remain about 12% favorable overall. Next slide, please. Wages and benefit costs continue to be the largest contributor to the favorable variance, running about $1 million below the budget through June, primarily due to several staffing vacancies. And just as importantly, I want to point out that our wages and benefits are also running about $500,000 below this same point last year. So that demonstrates continued discipline in managing our labor costs. We're also seeing favorable operating results across several maintenance categories. One notable example is street paving, which is primarily a timing difference. The budget was spread evenly over June, July, and August, while much of the work will actually be done later this summer. So we'll see that possibly climb again next month, and then if it gets done in August, it would go away. I think last year it was September, October before that occurred, but that may climb a little bit more, and it's a timing difference. Legal and professional fees, along with common property maintenance, think trees, remain over budget and offset a portion of those savings. But overall, expenses remain well controlled and continue supporting one of the board's key financial objectives. Next slide, please.
Judy, one question on that slide real quick. Is the wage benefits better than budget because originally it was budgeted to start hiring people for Tenacity much earlier?
Yeah, some of that is timing, and some of it I believe will be permanent just on the number of positions that have been held open. But yes, certainly, some of it will be permanent and will be recognized again because of the timing, and part of it will be coming in and starting to happen now because Tenacity is opening.
Okay, thanks.
Judy,
that made sense.
one quick comment, if you want to hop back once. A main reason that legal fees are a little higher than we anticipated is we needed to incur legal fees to get the T-Board legislation through and to be sure we're handling that in the right way, getting ready to be regulated by T-Board. And that, oh man, is it worth the money? Because if you want to look at it this way, we won't, nobody will ever be able to abuse water rates in the future because Tibor will always require us to have rates that are just and reasonable. It's worth the money.
Okay, thank you, David. Are we on the PDCA gross profit slide now? Yes, okay. Gross profit also remained very strong through June. Gross profit exceeded the budget by approximately 10% for the month and remains about 6% favorable on average year to date. We are approximately $1.2 million ahead of plan year to date. Next slide, please. The favorable results continue to be broad-based. Water and sewer remains our largest positive variance. And I want to point out, consumption has tracked very close to our last year results, and much of the current budget variance appears to be calendarization that we do expect to normalize over the balance of the year. Golf continues to benefit from exceptional play, with more than 58,000 rounds played through June, which is about 11% ahead of the budget. Recreation memberships also remain ahead of expectations. Food and beverage continues to outperform as well, with gross profit running approximately 13% above the budget. Next slide, please.
Hey, before we move on, Karen, what slide was that? Can you remember that number? I'm going to reference that later. Slide number 20. Thank you.
Are we on the subsidy slide now? Next one, please. There we go. These strong operating results continue to reduce the financial support required for our amenity operations. Through June, the consolidated amenity subsidy is approximately 50% better than budget and 46% better than this point last year, requiring nearly $500,000 less support than through June of 2025. I feel like that's also a very significant number to know. Golf, recreation, and food and beverage are all contributing to that improvement and helping us achieve one of the board's major financial objectives for 2026, which is a reduction to our subsidies. Now we can move on to the next one about the reserves. So those favorable operating results we keep flowing through flow down directly to our reserve contributions. Let's go to the next slide. Through June, funds available for reserves totaled approximately $6.1 million, compared with a budget of approximately $2.7 million, producing a favorable variance of approximately $3.4 million. And that improvement reflects strong gross profit, disciplined expense management, favorable interest income, gains on land and equipment sales, and other operational improvements across the organization. And if you flip one more time.
Judy, before you do, I want to say something on that slide. So maybe just a point of clarification on this slide was very visually confusing to me. This is my first month doing it, and it just didn't make sense because you see the green actuals are so high, and then you get to year to date, and it's like, wait, it's not as high as many of the individual months, yet we haven't had a negative month. What's going on? The year to date is an average, and part of that is simply visual. You can see the top line there that we could go to is 2 million. Our reserves year to date, Judy, are $6-something.
$6.1 million.
6.1. If we made the year to date number be a total number, then it would be so tall at 6 million with individual months down in the 1 million, you wouldn't be able to see the individual months. So I say that because it was very confusing for me until I worked on it this month. So the individual months are actuals, and the year-to-date month is an average of what we've done in a given month. But it was just very confusing to me the first time I saw it, so I assumed it was to other people too.
That's part of why I think that's why Ed wanted some of the details over on the right, so I can put down numbers that are probably more meaningful in terms of what our year-to-date accomplishments are. So if you go on to the next slide, this is one that I think has become a fan favorite. This is our waterfall analysis, and it simply illustrates where that $3.4 million favorable reserve variance comes from. So the 2.6 is our budget, and over on the other side, the 6.1 is where we actually stand. And so all of those little bars represent how we get from point A to point B. So you can see again, the gross profit is contributing $1.2 million. Our wages and benefits are contributing a little over $1 million. Our favorable operating expenses, that $836,000 does include about $500,000 of paving that is timing difference. That will turn around when we actually get around to doing the paving. And then the unfavorable ones, which are smaller, that's the legal and that's the trees. So then we have the operating results. So you can see all of those green bars and the one red bar. That gets us through operations. And then beyond that big heavy blue bar in the middle, we have gains on the sale of equipment. We have some interest income and interest expense favorability to get us to the bottom line of our total surplus variance. So you can see what comes from operations and what comes from other gains and losses. And so I just want to point out that it's across all departments and a variety of categories. So we're not just dependent on one source for all this favorability. It's coming across the board.
Thank you, Judy. I really like that. I'm sorry, can you go back, please? I really like this waterfall, but I think gross profit is WSIF in there? Gross profit? Where's the spending from
No,
the WSIF?
The WSAF gets capitalized to the asset.
not
It's
in
not
there.
in there at all.
Okay.
WSAF is not in. We do not have WSAF in there, and we do not have the grant money in there.
Good.
This is truly just operations and cash flow,
Thank you.
not the things that don't produce cash for us.
And so I'll also say our budget for the year is roughly 9 million. Don't expect us, because we're in June, at 6 million to end up at 12 million. We still, we'll spend $1.8 million on roads still in the upcoming year. There are some significant timing differences. We do expect to meet and probably beat our year-end budget, but don't get mad when we're not at 12 million. Okay. We're not going to get there. Okay, now me. Process efficiency. We've been trying to come up with ideas in process efficiencies to achieve 150,000 in annual net savings. We are well on our way, and I think may even be almost there, even though we've still got the rest of the year to do some stuff. Obviously, the big ones are the employee health insurance plans that we were able to get benefits from, and then credit card reduction with a new credit card processor on the golf side. We were able to lower rates there. And if I'm not mistaken, even in doing that, you can now use your phone to pay your bill. You don't have to always have your card with you, which makes your experience better too. So we're doing well on the process efficiency and want to continue to do that. Next. You'll see kind of the stage of where some things are. I move, again, it's my first time doing it. I moved the fleet efficiency in tracking those high mileage vehicles into the analyzation section, but that's because we did that this week, which actually happened in July, but this is a June report. So I moved it a month early, and I apologize for that. So we do have some out of our 45 vehicles. We do have some that have some high mileage on them. So we're going to track those and see if we can figure out where that's coming from. Next. Preventive maintenance program. We're slightly behind schedule because we expected to be further along than we are. But again, in the last week or two, but that's July, we've made some great headway in that. We actually, is it still on here? Or did we approve that earlier of the maintenance plan? So we have a proposal, if we didn't vote on it earlier, I'm not sure, to like our food and beverage equipment and preventive maintenance, to have it be dealt with by Fesco, the company that we call when we have a problem. And we've identified that effectively on a $24,000 a year maintenance contract, there's already things that we've paid for this year that would have been covered in the maintenance contract, and we've paid $31,000 already this year, 6 months in. So it's kind of a no-brainer to put that under a maintenance contract, which would handle at all 4 of our restaurants, all of our refrigeration in terms of food, not HVAC, that's dealt with already, but our food refrigeration, our cooking stoves, ovens, salamanders, all those good things I don't know all the words for, But all of those would be covered under a preventive maintenance plan. And we also expect to have a better outline and maybe even some programs in place to help us do better with other items that we have. For instance, golf course maintenance uses a product from John Deere where it's a software that it handles preventive maintenance. It even will pop up and tell you, hey, it's time to do the oil, should be time to do the oil change on this piece of equipment. Obviously it's a John Deere product, but we're talking to them about allowing us to use it for a couple of pieces of Toro equipment we have, and we think we'll get there, but we're working on that and plan to have kind of all of that in place by the end of July. But as of June, we're a little behind schedule. Next, innovative new programs. This is to, this was put in place to get 4 programs to meet or exceed 62.5 in net increased revenue. If you'll remember previous months, it had some numbers on there. We took those off so we could kind of regroup and punt because they were gross numbers, not net numbers. And the plan is for net. So at this point, we're behind schedule. We have really good feelings that we may be back on schedule or maybe even ahead this time next month when we're evaluating July. From a revenue net profit number, Christine and her team with breakfast are blowing it out of the water. And they're working their tails off. They're probably not quite so happy because they're having to work really, really hard. They really had a nightmare 2 Sundays ago. If you know what expoing is in food and beverage, I did it for 2 hours and they really don't want that to happen. So everybody is jumping in to help, but that's becoming huge. Breakfast is becoming massive. And that's an innovative new idea. So hopefully we'll get better on this as well. Next, safety, we're doing good. We still knock on something. 0 time loss injuries. So everybody's very conscientious. As big as this property is, that's phenomenal. 500 employees. For those of you who live in that world, that's 181 full-time equivalencies. That's a big number of employees. So 0 lost time injuries is a huge success story there. Next. The employee management and engagement and satisfaction surveys. Again, this slide probably won't change for a few months because we got that done until I think we're a month past. So we've got 5 more months before we'll do it again and see where we are. And this slide will change at that point. 12, customer focused training. Again, we're ahead here in food and beverage a little bit. We've gotten started, but we haven't gotten started in other areas. And so we need to do a better job of getting some more focused training in our other departments so we can get back on our timing schedule with this. Next, improve employee retention. Again, we're getting better at that. And part of that is understanding our employees and why they're here. I'll tell a small story being kind of from the Hilton Head area. About 50, if you know Hilton Head, there's 3 cities you pass to get to Hilton Head: Hardyville, Okatee, Bluffton, and then you're on the island. About 15 years ago, Hilton Head had real problems in the hospitality industry finding servers, line cooks, laborers, because obviously those people can't afford to live on Hilton Head. But the outer cities, specifically Okatee and Bluffton, had grown so large, those employees didn't have to drive all the way to Hilton Head to get a job anymore. And so Hilton Head had a real struggle. Tellico Village is not much different in that area. That worker can't afford to live in Tellico Village, and as Loudon and Lenore City and some of the surrounding areas grow, they also don't have to come all the way to us to get a job. So we have to make sure we recognize that and understand that as we take care of our employees. Sometimes that's pay, but sometimes that's quality of life, and understanding why our employees want to come work for us and creating an environment where they do want to come work for us is helping us drive our employee retention down because we're doing a better job of keeping our employees. We've looked at this, the turnover reduction projects in the restaurants. Again, better accountability, better hiring, a huge effort to recruit more people, better accountability. We've talked about the payroll system, technology, and then Christine, we're not fully engaged with the payment card yet, are we? We are. Awesome. We are. So one of the things that Christine has implemented there to really help our employees is we pay our servers the tips that you leave them. We pay them in cash every night. It gets reported. Don't worry about that. But we pay them in cash, but sometimes we don't have enough cash and weren't able to pay them. So she's converted us to a system where they get that money on a debit card. So two things, we always are able to provide them their money that night. And two, in an efficiency, we don't have to carry as much cash. But if you were an employee and were paid by tips and some night you couldn't actually get paid because we didn't have enough cash, you wouldn't want to work here very long. So Christine getting that implemented has been huge as well in reducing our employee turnover. Aligning our reviews for the scorecard. So we have put, with Russell's help in our HR department, put together a plan to align the scorecard to how we review our employees, and are we doing things that are working towards making the scorecard successful. We now need to give that to the board for them to review and look at and say grace over. So the big dashboard for June, kind of in all areas together, you can see customer, financial, we're ahead, internal processes, learning and growth, we're not as ahead, but overall we met expectations in June. And on the next slide, you'll see that year to date, we're kind of, other than learning and growth, we're ahead of the game in all areas, making us consolidated right now in our balanced scorecard. We're exceeding expectations. So I said when I started, I loved the balanced scorecard because it's a mechanism by which we get to measure the internal underlying health of our organization. So we can see we have places that we need to see the doctor and get a little healthier, but overall we're pretty healthy. And that's a good thing to know.
Thank you, I guess. At this time, I'd like to, Matt, are you here? Let's go ahead and get you freed up and then we'll go on to the board motions because I think that's going to consume a little bit of time. Let's get Matt up and then we'll get on to our motions.
Good afternoon. So I am here to make a funding request for a dehumidifier at the Wellness Center. The specific location for this device would be in the fitness room, which is at the south end of the building. That's the room that's got all the treadmills, the ellipticals, all the weight equipment. It's about 5,300 square feet. And really, when we look at this room, there's a lot about it that lends itself to humidity. You've got the exterior windows putting heat in the room. You've got the exercise equipment that's emitting some heat. You've got the term heat gain, which makes reference to the result of the human body breathing and perspiring is putting heat in the room. And also the adjacency to the indoor pool and the entrance lobby probably isn't helping matters. So I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not an engineer, and I'm glad because I don't think I would have passed thermodynamics. Okay, but let's give it a shot here. So if you got a question beyond this, just know you're over my head probably. I'm telling you everything I know about it. Relative humidity increases when the temperature drops or when more water vapor is added to the air. So your warm air holds moisture better, all those things that I listed about what could cause moisture in the air. And then when you have a simple drop in temperature, it causes the relative humidity to rise. So the more the HVAC system works to keep the room cool and comfortable, we are, as a byproduct to all the things that I listed that are going on in that room, creating humidity when we cool. The genesis of this request is attempting to address complaints of feeling uncomfortable while you're working out and primarily during the peak period between about 5:30 to 11:30 a.m. So just as a general rule, relative humidity should be between 40 and 55%. That's kind of the range that we strive for. I've verified that independently. Simon provided that to me, and also the internet will tell you as much. That's just the range in which you're keeping the air from feeling damp. So as we kind of went into this, we did a period of testing using a humidistat. We did a test from April 16th to April the 22nd and found that the average relative humidity was 50%. During the peak workout time, it was 55. I'd call this a good test, but it was done in April. So everything with respect to exterior temperatures is probably not contributing much heat to the space, but it was a good baseline. Then we moved into another test from May the 21st to June the 2nd, and bam, there's your problem. Really, on average, the relative humidity was about 66%. During the peak workout time, it was closer to 69, and we sat most of the time outside the ideal range. So we felt like we had well established the fact that there's a problem. But because this is an unbudgeted request, we spent some time with our preventive maintenance contractor, Interstate Mechanical, and we made a couple of different adjustments. We found that some of the thermostats were really close to the vents. So when the vent is cooling and the thermostat is near it, the thermostat thinks it's cool in here, when really in reality, it wasn't indicative of what was going on in the rest of the room. So we moved some thermostats, did not see much of a difference. We attempted doing some stacking on the thermostat settings. And by that, I mean, what we were attempting to do is to cool the room slower. I want to keep it cool, but when the air conditioning units kick on, our intent was set something at 72, set something at 71, 70, and 69. So when the temperature comes down, you're not injecting cold air quickly into that heat and humid air that sits in the room. Nonetheless, we had complaints that continued. But one thing I want to make really clear, the HVAC units by themselves do suck humidity out of the room. But I want to make abundantly clear, these HVAC units, I think, were installed in 2024, maybe 2025. I don't remember exactly. They are darn near brand new units. And I'm going to speculate for you. This is best we've been able to get from our experts that we consult on these things. They are remarkably more efficient, and they probably are injecting a lot more cool air faster into the room than the previous units did. That's part of the reason we are attempting to stack and trying to keep it cool, but not cool it down so fast. But aside from all of that, we're still dealing with complaints about the room not so much feeling hot. When you look at the thermostat, we are keeping the room at temperature. What you're feeling is just wet, thick air. And it was kind of funny at PSAC, there was sort of a discussion about, well, you're working out, right? Don't you want to sweat? But, you know, in some respects, and there were people in attendance at PSAC who just kind of said, I mean, yeah, but walking out of there looked like you took a shower in your clothes is not what the experience should be like. So I wanted to make clear, we did do some testing. We did made some adjustments to see if we could avoid an unbudgeted purchase, but we're really at the point of needing something dedicated to sucking hot and wet air out. So we got introduced to a dehumidifier. Interstate Mechanical Systems recommended the Santa Fe Ultra 205. And so we went about seeking quotes for this particular piece of equipment. One of my concerns all along has been, well, how are we going to know it's going to work? And there's two things that have emerged in our study of this that make me feel pretty good about it. One of them is the Santa Fe Ultra 205 is spec'd for 5,000 square feet of unconditioned space. And so a lot of times you're putting these underneath big buildings and crawl spaces and those kinds of places to keep the humidity out. But this is cooled space. Second thing is it works on a humidistat. So it works like your thermostat in the sense that you're going to set a relative humidity. If you set it at 55, the unit's not going to work until it hits 56, 57. When it achieves a relative humidity of 55, it's going to shut off again. We talked a little bit about maintenance on this. The big issue on this is keeping the filters clean. It will go on our preventative maintenance contract for filter replacement with Interstate. And the second issue is really, you got to keep in mind, it's not going to work 12 months out of the year. I suspect there will be several months at a time where it may not even click on, or if it does, it's going to be a very short, isolated period of time. So we sought quotes, got 3 of them. We were a little bit concerned about A1 Fincham's understanding of the project. They sent a project representative out. We wanted to get into talking about electric. You know where you're getting your electric supply. Do you understand where you're going to put this? It's going to suspend from the ceiling. Do you understand what we want for drainage? And we weren't getting much. So as a result of that, we are recommending the higher bid to Eco Home Solutions, which, if I'm doing my math, is a little bit over $200 more for someone that was willing to engage in those discussions. I've got a recommended motion for you. I used the term non-water sewer reserve. I was scolded at FAC on that topic to call it general reserve. You can call it potato, you can call it potato. It's not coming out of water sewer reserve.
I'll make the motion to award the bid to Ecosystem Solutions in the amount of $11,179 for the installation of a Santa Fe Ultra 2005 dehumidifier at the Tellico Village Wellness Center Fitness Room, funded from general reserves.
I'll second.
On the question?
I just have a comment. I want to thank Matt. I'm going to tell you why. We discussed this back in January, people coming up, the complaints. Me, I like humidity, so it didn't bother me, but I like it when it's hot, right? Anyway, at the end of the day, Matt, I knew, we discussed, he wanted to do months of research and kind of testing, and totally agree with him. When you want to do something we didn't need to do, Matt took that and ran with that, and I want to personally thank you, Matt. That you made a lot of people happy. Trust me, a lot of people over there at the Wellness Center. Thank you very much.
On the question? Hearing none, all in favor of the recommended motion, signify. I show the vote is 6-0. I don't know if Carla's online or not. All right, next part of business here. Let's go to board motions regarding the Liberty Tree. Carrie, do you have anything to say?
And about a 5.5 minute presentation, but I decided that it wasn't necessary after what Mr. Stevens passed around. But the motion that's been put on the table, I move that the board will hereby adopt the following board directive. The board hereby accepts the gifts to Tellico Village of a Liberty Tree in honor of the 250th anniversary of the United States, and 2 plaques providing the history and meaning of the Liberty Tree. The board approves the placement of the Liberty Tree and the plaques outside the entrance to the yacht club.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
On the question?
While I support,
Carry your mic.
while I support the tree, I'm not a fan of the markers. And the other part of my question is, if I was watching online, a lot of people want to put markers for their relatives that served. I was asking, how are we going to do a process for that in order for them to ask for that, and where the locations are? I think we need to come up with some types of deal to deal with this, because I think it's going to be, you're going to get a lot of requests. Just I seen 4 or 5 online as I was watching this meeting online. So I think we need to look at that also, since we're setting a precedent here, that how we're going to handle it in the future.
Ed, your mic, please. In that space, we've already done it. Previous boards have already done it. I go down here and I look at on the next floor down at the yacht club. There's an entire woodworkers in memory of. There's a huge marker right out here behind the yacht club for the boating association. I don't know that we have a policy. Kevin, do you?
No, there's no specific policy relative to plaques, memorials, markers, et cetera. The board has reviewed and approved them on a case-by-case basis in the past.
Thank you. So in that space, Ed, I agree. Maybe we ought to put one together and get the ACC to do it. This is supposedly their bailiwick. This one was unique. It got POA employee approval before we even saw the darn thing. And I'll leave it at that. The dedication's been attended by our Loudoun County mayor, whose autograph we need to get under T-Board regulation. It was also attended by our state representative, who carried the legislation for us. And I'm not one personally, and I probably should step from the chair I'm not one personally to throw that back in their face. I thank them for their support. I worked hard to get their support. And I thank them for showing up here at the yacht club to recognize us on July 4th, their holiday as well. So
I think if a policy was in place, we'd have a lot less consternation going on. So that's why I highly recommend that we start the ACC look at a policy for this.
I don't think that needs to be a board directive, Ed. I think we can just tell them, get after it. On the question.
I have comment. With your permission. There's been some discussion numerous times about how did this process proceed? Who gave approval to move forward? On the 20th of February of this year, Kimberly Brown sent an email to Matt. And in part of that conversation, she stated, the Conservative Club and SAR will cover the full cost of the tree and the dedication plaque. She's asked for, on occasion, guidance. And on the 29th of this year, she sent another email asking about, I'm moving forward under the assumption that we have permission to plant the tree and install commemorative plaque. Excuse me. This will allow us to order the tree and plaque right away. It can be simply as saying to this email with a quick approve or go ahead. Well, he did approve it. However, Matt, answering a help spot, indicated he knew about the tree, but he never knew about the plaques. That's all I have to say.
Seeing no others, I'll call for the vote on the motion as approved. All in favor?
Mike, Carla said yes to the tree, no to the monuments.
Well, that's not the motion. I appreciate her text, but that's not the motion. So it's 5-4, all against the motion? 5-2. Thank you. Let's move on. C2RL Preliminary Engineering Report.
Karen, can you put on the slides I had earlier?
Carry your mic.
Sure. Okay, make it third to last. I want to have it go before the last one.
While Karen's doing that, I make a small comment. Be thankful Karen's doing that and none of us are.
Sorry, I got you out of sequence. That's my fault.
Okay, thank you, Karen. So just a quick walk down memory lane. When we are comparing what we're going to propose for the C2RL Kahidi lift station, I want to go back to our original TAP plan. The original TAP plan, it's kind of hard to see. It's over on the right side. It's $5 million TAP for a Kahidi wastewater system upgrade. But you'll also notice next to it, there was an odor control at the lift station. It says station, but it's really plural. It's for all the stations. And we had $4 million budgeted for that. So if you took the two together, what we're coming in is, you saw the quote today. Next slide, please. You can see that we're $4.5 million less than the original $5 million. And that does not include odor control, which you can see is $70,000. So you could really say this is $4.57 million less than what we had originally told the residents, and start collecting money from the residents to pay for. Next slide, please. So I move the board approve the C2RL preliminary engineering report in the amount of not to exceed $428,300 to upgrade the existing Kahidi pump station, which will includes odor control.
I will second it.
Who got the second there? Okay, thanks, Ed. You guys lit up and started talking at the same time. David, please get your microphone. On the question?
Claude just wanted me to make sure they know this is coming out of water and sewer reserves.
Thank you, Claude. On the question?
I have a question. I do have a question. The 428,000, is that for the contracted work that we don't have a proposal for yet? I'm sorry, I was having a little bit of trouble following that earlier, due to traveling. Can somebody help me understand what that's about?
Yeah, that's included the construction costs, but they will come back with bids for us. It may be more or less, but at that point, we'll be able to adjust the motions. Did you hear that, Carla?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. On the question, all in favor? Oh, hold on, what?
Yeah, this is Gary Zika. I think Carla had the same question, but you're approving the report, which has an estimated amount for the construction activities. Are you does it also include the engineering fee to proceed, or is that another motion you've got coming up?
The engineering fee is included in this.
Go back to
as
slide,
well as the
please.
Construction fees.
You'll see it's in there, Gary. So you see the top half, the 325s or 385 is construction.
Right.
And 43 is engineering.
So it's really a two-part thing. Is the first part is the engineering for the engineer to proceed with the design. He has the design, you guys are going to go out to bid. And then it's the 385, I think.
It's the 43 for the engineering plus the 385 for the construction.
Yeah, but the 385 still has to be bid out and still has to go through for approval.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Yeah.
I think that's the confusing part. When you
I
see
might
the
make
big
a
number.
little clarification there, because I think really what you're approving is the engineering services.
I believe
at the
that's-
43. And maybe you take out the construction cost, because we don't know exactly what the construction
that's-
cost is going to be.
Would you amend the
approve
motion?
Yeah,
report and
I'll
the
gladly.
engineering services.
I'll gladly amend. It's a good point. I'll gladly amend the motion. So I'll change the motion to go to that again, please. Go to the next slide. So I move that the board approve C2RL preliminary engineering report in the amount not to exceed $43,300
For the scope of engineering
$43,300 to upgrade the existing Kahidi pump station, which includes odor control.
I will second that motion.
Joel, do you want to add that we're authorizing C2RL to commence the bidding process? Because I think
that's in that. Go back to
That's
that.
in there.
Yeah, it's in there.
It's in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's in there, we're fine.
On the question? Hearing no others, all in favor of awarding C2RL the preliminary engineering report in 43,200, whatever it was, signify.
Aye.
Carla said aye. We got a 7-0 vote. Salary positions for hire and salaries, I think, is our next rodeo.
I think that's me as well.
You've been busy today.
Does this,
We're done.
does this one reflect the change we talked about in the
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the one that Karen was typing up earlier.
May God bless Karen Davis, because she's our savior.
Okay. So I move that all salary positions for hire and salaries must be reviewed by the compensation committee and approved by the interim executive leader through the end of 2026.
I'll second.
On the question?
Basically, earlier as we discussed in executive session, I was concerned about the compensation committee, which is only at the director level. But I think changing, and we have no employees other than Claude, but it changed to the interim executive leaders making the approval, abides by our bylaws and the committee. So I will vote for this. So.
On the question? Hearing no others, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
I show it as 7-0. Aye for it, is the way I understood it.
Yes, I voted yes.
Joel, is this the Joel show? What the
Yeah,
heck
it's
we got
me
going on
again.
here?
Karen, you're gonna kill me. I need you to go back to slide number 20 on the balance scorecard. Okay, whatever. Oh, did you say 18 or 20? I forget. If the bar is open, Karen, I'm buying for you, for her, not you, Mike. It's a gross profit. There you go. Go back one. Oh, okay. So just a little background. What the motion, I'm going to ask the motion be pulled. Okay, and I'm going to read it in a moment, but I want to give a little background or context. What I was originally asking is back in 2024, we added the tax, your drink prices used to be with tax, and we added plus tax without reducing the drink prices. And we called it a continuous improvement of $131,000. I took great exception to that because it was just passing on the cost to the residents. It wasn't a continuous improvement from the board. But 2024 was a very difficult year. And 2024 is the reason Mike and I are sitting here today. Let me just briefly go over why 2024 was a heavy yoke that was put on the residents' shoulders. I want to go over 5 things, and it's not the only 5. Number 1, water rates were increased 65% in 2024. Number 2, the POA monthly fees went up the maximum 5%, and that was a year after they went up the absolute maximum percent because the CPI was 9.1% in May. So 9.1% in 23, 5% max in 24. Number 3, salary and wages went up 8.6%. That comes on the tail end of going up 37% in the prior 2 years, bringing the 3-year grand total of increasing salary and wages by 49% in 3 years. Number 4, TAP was approved for $36 million, and as a result, an $80 a month WSIEF fee was put on the residents. And number 5, I already mentioned the drink prices were put on, would pass on tax. That's 9.5%. So what has the new board been doing? Let's go back to number 1. We dropped water rates 61% from $13 to $5 this year. Number 2, POA monthly fees, we went with 3%, not 5%. That's a 40% reduction. Number 3, salary and wages, went up 3% versus 8.6%. That's a 65% reduction. Number 4, as using the Kahidi pump station as an example, went from 5 million to $500,000. That's a 90% improvement. So what I'm saying is that this 5th one was the one I was going after, trying to return some fiduciary responsibilities of the board back to the residents, saying, I think that we were a little overzealous in charging the residents. I really do. So when I'm looking at this gross profit, you would say, why would gross profit be a problem? Well, if those of you that like cause and effect, the effect was 2024, look at that increase. See how high that went? That's the effect. The cause is a lot of that came at the burden of the residents for the reasons I just mentioned to you. So sometimes more isn't always better. A large portion of that windfall came from fees. And that's what I was after. So what I'd just rather do is turn it over to Claude and say, I really would like you to look at things like the food and beverages to see if we have some, you can slice and dice it any other way. You can come up with a frugal menu, a frugal corner called Claude's Corner.
Claude's cheap.
Yeah. Claude's cheap. No, because I know we were never doing anything
you
cheap.
branded that pretty
you're right,
quick.
you're right.
No, and I'm listening to Christine. She's doing some great things with negotiating better quality, lower price. Those are phenomenal things. But I just like to challenge you to think about that. I think at the end of it, with talking with my peers, and correct me if I'm wrong, we said, let's do some benchmarking. Let's see what's going on here locally. You've heard me talk about Sweetwater beer. I go over to Tellico Marine. I get a 16-ounce pour for $4. I get a 12-ounce can here for, $5 or $6. So these are the things that, I want to challenge. I don't want to micromanage. I don't want to be overbearing. I'm removing the motion based on my discussion with my peers, saying I wish that I would, and I am. But I would like to challenge you, Claude, to please look at giving the residents some frugality again, right? Not lessening the quality, but, where we do help with subsidies, whatever, and I love it. I love the fact that we're, a community that makes sure our restaurants are viable and do top quality. But I'd like for you to share some of that goodwill back to the residents in your pricing of some items, okay?
Absolutely. I mean, challenge accepted. Because I know the board knows, as part of the advisory services agreement, like we had some people here from our food and beverage, our corporate food and beverage team a couple of weeks ago, and I'm expecting their report in the next couple of weeks. And I'm, again, sometimes I say things and I box myself in. I hope I don't do that right now, but I appreciate putting this on hold because I think we'll get there, but probably in some other ways. One of the things as an observer right now I don't like is in golf. There's a benefit to you being a villager. You pay less money than a non-villager. In food and beverage right now, I can't find a benefit for you being a villager yet. It's all yours. You own it. So maybe we're going to end up, maybe the right answer is we end up with more, I hate to say, more retail pricing on our menu, but villagers get a discount. So it all works out for you. But right now, and maybe we don't go there. I'm just throwing that out as an option, so don't hold me to it. But as a part of what you're trying to do in this overall structure in food and beverage is making food and beverage an exceptional experience for you and a value. I'll take my word cheap back. That's just me. Because sometimes that's not cheap, but it's still some of the best steaks you can have at a certain price are a great value, but they're by no means cheap. We need to look at food and beverage in its entirety, but we also need to make it beneficial to you as a villager, both in your experience and your value, but also that you get something that somebody that's not a villager doesn't get. You own it. They don't. You should have a benefit to that. So I'm really looking forward to in the next couple of weeks getting that report back from our food and beverage advisory services team and go, okay, what did y'all see? What can we look at? How can we make this more beneficial, more of a value, more of an experience for our food and beverage experience that Christine and her team are working so hard on the service side, but maybe let's not make decisions today. that box us in. No different, and I'll just throw it out there, no different than, I'm sure people, I've been asked, you know, Simon left in Parks and Rec. Is there a definitive 100% we're not going to hire Simon? No, there's not a definitive that we might not rehire that. But we don't know what our structure there needs to be yet. And if we just go hire it, then we're boxed in. We've already done it. So for everybody that thinks that maybe not replacing Simon yet is a cost-cutting measure, it's not. It's we don't completely know what our structure needs to be there yet. Let's not box ourselves in just to make a decision today. And so what you're trying to do is absolutely of value. But in not boxing us in, I appreciate not doing it today.
Can you back to the motion, Karen? I'll make it a double.
And comment on this, I appreciate, Joel, you taking this motion back because I was going right where you're going. Let Claude, Trune, and Christine, who's just been here, do their jobs and find where they can make good values for us. So, and you know, I think Christine's doing an excellent job, and I'm sure she'll find those values for us in places. I know she just did the hot dog. She got a better hot dog and a better hot bun for the same price. So those are values that I think she can bring to us. If once she gets the time, let her get tenacity under her belt, and then look at that.
Okay, so I officially remove number 4 motion.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Claude, in our meetings that we've had last week and now this week, you've used a word that bothers me. Cheap. Thrifty is the better word.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I agree with you.
I have one comment. You pulled your motion. Okay. Claude's got it right. Now what we need to do is make sure we don't give Karen motions, change them all day long. If they're not done the week before, you don't get it on the agenda. That's my recommendation.
And I promise to do the balance.
That includes me.
And I promise to do the balance scorecard better because I didn't finish till noon today.
In that space, Joel, you reneged.
That's all right.
You did not do as you said you were going to do. That was not good enough.
Any new business for the board?
Mr. President, I move we adjourn.
Hold on, I got one other.
Oh, come on, Ed, we're almost out of here.
I would like to propose a motion to be discussed next board meeting. I won't be here, but I'd like to propose this, that all motions like this be published in advance for the public to see, so that when they come to the town hall, they know what they're talking about.
Actually, Ed, we've already started to do that. I don't think it's always appropriate to put the entire text of a motion out in advance of the town hall, but we just started this month in the interest of transparency, putting out the titles and the main content of motions that'll be discussed. That came out last Friday. I think that's the way to keep going.
I think the titles are got to be a little more descriptive then. That's all I ask. Because
That's
if
fair.
you want people to talk about this
Well,
at the town hall, we
had our first ever workshop meeting.
No, I know. So,
And right there, Chief and I told you guys, I want your motions at that workshop.
Mhm.
So we can get them to Karen and we don't have the
Exactly.
challenges we had today. It's your board's learning. I'm going back and like I said, I'm scouring. It's about 70 to 80 pages a year of executive and workshop meetings.
and one last thing, and Linda kind of took some of my thunder with this. The ITAC survey is out there. Please look and take that because we're looking to find the best system for you to use out there. We're down to a couple systems and your input will help us make the best decision. We're looking to do a mobile app if possible so that you'll be able to schedule and do everything from there. From pickleball to, recreate golf, everything, all from one place. So please take that survey. We really want your input. So that's all I got.
The motion to adjourn is on the table. Is there a second?
Mr. President, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Mr. Brown,
I have one
seconded.
thing to add to Ed's
All in favor?
recommendation. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Bye, Carla.
Okay, bye.